Good morning, friends. First of all, if you don't like what I'm going to say, I know we'll still be friends. Election day is this Tuesday. While I understand their importance, I don't like election years. I also don't like the lack of civility in public discourse. If you had gotten up here and said what I just said, I might have groaned and thought, oh no, they're going to talk about politics. Don't worry, I'm not, and I'm certainly not going to tell you how to vote. But as W.C. Fields famously said in one of my favorite quotes, there comes a time in the affairs of man when he must take the bull by the tail and face the situation. That's voting in a nutshell. Author and educator, I'm waiting for new glasses, so my old ones are not. Author and educator Karine McLaughlin wrote, "Spirituality, politics. How can we mention these things in the same breath? Most people would say you can be either a spiritual seeker or a political activist, but never both. Politics and spirituality seem worlds apart, two different arenas never to be mixed, or they produce deadly results. There is a place for spirituality and politics together, however. One need only reflect on the inspirational life of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and how much he accomplished in his tragically short life. Gandhi had no trouble bringing his spirituality and politics together. He said, "I could not be leading a religious life unless I identified myself with the whole of mankind, and that I could not do unless I took part in politics." Sharon Salzberg, meditation teacher and co-founder of Insight Meditation Society, wrote, "The faith that I think about in the context of voting is about recognizing voting as an immense form of freedom we're given. We have the choice to participate in the outcome of our lives, in the lives of others, and on the country as a whole." Qasim Rashid, attorney and visiting fellow at Harvard's University School of Islamic Studies, wrote, "Why would we not want our voices to be heard? We are being given an opportunity, even as a minority, to contribute to the future direction of our nation, not unlike the opportunity that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, afforded religious minorities in his time. We should not be fooled into thinking that our voices do not matter. And the Quran commands us to judge with justice and embrace our responsibility to assert our voice." And Antonand Rambakken, professor of religion at St. Olaf College, Minnesota, said, "All choices must be exercised with a concern for the universal common good." The Reverend Jacqueline J. Lewis wrote, "It is our turn to think of voting as a holy act, as a right, and as a calling." Father Theodore Martin Hesburgh said, "Voting is a civic sacrament." A writer for spirituality and practice, Resources for Spiritual Journeys, went so far as to say, "Voting does what spiritual practices do, connect you with your true self, your community, and the one." Finally, writer Elizabeth Gilbert wrote, "Those of us who are warm and dry and safe and well-fed must show up for those who are cold and wet and endangered and hungry. That's a rule of life. Every ethical and religious and spiritual tradition in the world agrees on that rule." And Rob says, one way we show up is we vote. Thank you.